you've got three types of expenses. Ne? Your expenses is always divided into factory overheads, admin, sales and distribution. So, your factory overheads becomes part in the end of your cost of sales. Right. So if I draw an income statement, now remember they can ask you a shortened income statement. So if they do that, your income statement is basically going to be sales less cost of sales. So the factory overheads is part of that cost of sales. Ne? Then it says plus income less operating expenses, and others than what we are used to saying salaries, insurance, stationery, packing material. You're not going to say that. You're just going to say sales and distribution, admin. That's your expenses, because all your expenses is taken there. Is you guys fine? You guys are fine with that, ne? So just be aware of it, that they can ask you an income statement like this. Okay. How does cost of sales work? Let's quickly just go through this. So my production cost statement starts. Now I'm making the product. So I'm trying to calculate the cost of the product. Okay? So firstly, I need direct material, direct labor. That gives me prime cost. Now I add factory overheads. Ne? Because now I have my total manufacturing cost. Right. Now I want to see which of these ones, ne, is actually finished and can go to the place where we sell it. Right? So I will say less, is plus work in process the opening, less work in process the closing, and now I've got my finished goods. Do not confuse this with cost of sales. In other words, I finished 7 t-shirts. Did I sell all 7? Not necessarily. And that is why you do the T for finished goods. That says, oh, this is the goods I didn't sell beginning of the year, the goods I didn't sell end of the year. This is my finished goods. This is the goods that I finished making. And then the difference will be my cost of sales. Can you see that goes together? Don't think that is your cost of sales. So let's just do it in a picture. So I'm saying to you, I have 7 rulers. Ne? I finished producing 23 rulers, which means I've got 30 rulers. In the end, when I do my stock take, there is 5 rulers left, which means I sold 25. Okay, but can you see that 23 would be there because that's the cost of the goods I finished making this year. So, happiness? Now, Q is asking me, and a lot of times they will say there is no work in process. Now that would be things. A lot of manufacturing businesses make things that can go bad, so it won't stay for the next year to finish. You can think baking cakes. You bake the cake, it's done. You can't mix the cake and then leave it and then tomorrow put it in the oven. It won't work. So there is businesses where there is no work in process. Listen to what the word says. It says it's a product busy being made. Work in process. Okay? So in other words, what happens is those 2 falls away. So your total manufacturing will be your finishing goods. Okay? So it just means you end with total manufacturing. And that which you manufacture is your finished goods because you had nothing left from last year. that still needed to be finished, né? Because you can't bake a bread that you mixed 7 days ago. And I have nothing left this year that needs to be finished next year. That's not what it means. Okay. So now let's look. T2 Fit. The business owned by Mark Fit manufactures t-shirts. Just by the way, once again, just get it, understand this principle with manufacturing and with inventory valuation. You work with one specific product. The process we go through here, you go through it for every product you produce. Why? Because you want to calculate that product's cost. So you can't intermix the products. Even if they are exactly the same, but there's blue t-shirts and pink t-shirts, the dye might be a different color. The dye, of course, pink and blue is different colors, but it might be a different price. Because as we all know, your reds is more expensive. So it might work out more expensive than the blue one. So they will do different T accounts calculations for every product. The same goes with your clothing store. You'll see. Okay. So now they say, calculate the direct material cost. So direct material cost is that which we learned, it's that which was issued. Ne? In other words, the ones that went to the factory itself and is busy being made. Okay. And then calculate the factory overhead costs for the year and do the production costs. Why do I read all three together? Because I'm somehow going to do them together. Okay, it's going to save me time. So, let's see. I have to calculate the direct material cost. So you can do a T account. What would a T account look like? Or you would do it vertically. It basically comes down to, I want to know how much raw material do I have available? How much do I have left? And then I will know how much I issued. Okay. If I do a T, I would have an opening, a closing, whatever I buy, return, or work in process. And I'm looking for that one. Okay. Work in process. Raw material. Yeah. So remember, when I say buy, it also means all the extra costs you will put in there. Ne? The transport, the carriage on purchase, the customs, all of that. If I donate, it will make it less. It's a normal trading stock T account without cost of sales. Okay. Otherwise, I can do the vertical. And the vertical is the opening plus the net purchase. Because the word net is there, it means I subtracted what? The stuff I returned. Net. Okay. And also if there were drawings, if there were donations, everything that I subtracted. Okay. Then I will add carriage and customs, and I will subtract the closing. Okay. Can you see? Opening, purchase, carriage, everything that. Ne? Returns is in the net purchase. Closing gives me what goes to work in process. What goes to work in process? Direct material cost. In other words, the direct material that I issued. Why do we use the word issued? Because we have a place where we keep the raw material. Now, if the factory wants to use raw material, they have to go to the storage room. There is someone in control of the storage room. There's a process that those raw material is given over to the factory itself, and we call that issued. It's like if I ask for red pens, I fill in a form, I need 2 red pens, I give it to Ms. Hubert, she goes, she issues me 2 red pens. Now they're in my class and I'm busy working with them. You understand the concept? Okay. So let's start. They give me stock balance, but can you now see they say meters and the amount. You work with the amount. Okay, so I see opening is 64.8. Purchases is, was there anything returned? Nothing. Look how straightforward this is. 894. There is no customs, nothing. Then my closing balance, they do not give me. Can you see that? Look here. The stock balance, the end of the year, they tell me it's 1,005. So I need to get a money value for it. Okay. So let's go look. What do they give me? They only give me that it's 1,500. Nee. So now let's read the info. Fabric issued from the storeroom to the factory for production is the raw material. The weighted average method is used to determine the value of the fabric. Oh! Can you see what you're supposed to do here? Okay, so let's do it. Let's not be scared. So weighted average, what do I do? Weighted average? Rand over units. Rand over units. So I go look. Opening is 1,006, 64.8. Purchase is 18.8, ne? Plus 894. Nothing was returned. Can you see this? They test the weighted average method in manufacturing. And so most probably they're going to test FIFO or SIM with inventory. Nobody tells them not to do this. Okay, so this gives me an average price of, if I add those two, please, you guys, 47. What?
Rand. 47 rand.
Just like that.
Yes.
Okay, and there's 1,500 units left, so that gives me
70,000. 70,500.
500. You see? So now when I go back, what's wrong?
I did it differently.
You did it?
Differently.
That's fine. So here I get 7,500. Did you get 7,500?
Yes.
Oh, then it's sure. And then I get my direct material issued. And how much is that? A 1, a 2, a 3. Okay, I'm done.
Chef, bro. 888300.
83,700.
Hey, Chef.
8 less 5 gives me 3.
Ma'am, can you please look at what I did?
Huh?
I don't know what I did.
I
What
don't
did
know
is
either.
Say,
Yeah, but now you just got the closing stock, so what's that going to help you?
okay, so this is the amount that I need to be focusing on here.
This thing on. So with this one, they do it like we did it with the net profit that you have to fix. So just once again, go write for yourself this down. Income, ne? Income works with the profit. Okay, no, we are not working with profit here. We're working with factory overheads. So factory overheads is the expense. So if the expense becomes, if it's a prepaid expense, it will make my expense less. Okay? If it's an accrued expense, it will make my expense more. Okay? So, let's go look. First thing, they say the bookkeeper calculated it wrong as 600. So let's go look. The closing stock of factory indirect material, meaning consumable stores, ne, was omitted. So now, can you see they don't give me anything else? So what did they do? They did this if I look at my indirect material, my consumable stores, I have an opening balance, I buy, I use, which I take to the factory overheads, and then I have a profit and loss. That's my profit and loss, and then I have a closing stock. In other words, the stock that I didn't use. Now, if I go look at this, what do they say? They say the closing stock was omitted. So they worked out everything without the closing stock. They said opening plus buying less used. So can you see their used is 7,000 too much? Does that make sense to you? If I say this side is 10, and it's divided between what I used and what I didn't use. Okay, you guys get me? So now they didn't give me what I didn't use. They didn't give me the closing stock. So meaning, according to me, I used 10. You got it? If I say to you, you bought 10 pens, but there's nothing left. How many pens did you use? 10. But if I say to you, you bought 10 pens, but you have 3 left, how many did you use? 7. It's the same principle. They say to you, you bought 10 pens, but they don't say to you, you didn't use anything. So in your books, you showed factory overheads 10. Yeah, if you read there, they say the closing stock was omitted. So their T account looked like this. It had an opening balance. It had whatever we bought. So it gave me that amount. So when I closed it, I said, oh, factory overheads. You see? But now I say to you, oh, this isn't right, because there was actually a closing stock. So now can you see, if I say to you, oh, you're supposed to have a closing stock here, how's it going to change that? Is it going to make it more or less? Less. Because if I say to you, you guys focus, if I say to you, you had 10 pens, that's the only information I give you. What are you going to assume? How much did I? So in other words, that's my T account. So, what is on this side to close off the T account? 10. If I give you a T account and I say, oh, there's a 3 on this side, what's my factory overheads going to be? So how do I get the 10 to the 7? You're going to minus the 3, because there's 3 still left that I didn't use, but I showed it as if it was used. You guys with me? Yeah. Okay, so here I'm going to, for the consumable stores or the indirect material or whatever, I'm going to subtract the 7. Because I didn't use it, so it's not an expense, it's an asset. Are you with me? Okay. The total water and electricity cost for the year was included. So in other words, when I calculated that, it includes the total cost of water and electricity. But, can you see I was only supposed to show 60%. So you can do it one of two ways. You can go and subtract the full 84, and then just add, because you want to take out what is wrong, and then you add what is right. What is right? 84 times 60%, and that's how much? 54. So in other words,
50,400.
Yes.
Okay. So in other words, I'm going to minus that difference. What's the difference? Can you see another way I can do it? Another way I can do it is I can say, please stop talking. I can say, oh, I showed 100%. I'm supposed to show 60%. So what can I do? I'm going to subtract 40%. And I can promise you, if you say 84 times 40%, it will give you that 33,600.
Yeah, very different.
I know.
It's very slim.
I know.
It's slim, slim.
I know.
It's slim stuff. You legs, you legs, you legs, you legs.
Okay, can I hear? Is everybody sharp? So now, next one. So, with this factory overheads, they like to give you the wrong and you need to do it the right. So, the easiest thing is to take out the wrong and put in the right. Okay. Factory insurance of 45 was allocated according to the old ratio of 3:1:2. Ne? It should have been, and if I look at this is 15:3:6. Ne? Okay. So what are you going to do? You are firstly going to say that 45 was allocated how? 3 to 6. You see what I did? Kwavi? No. Okay, if I look at this, ne? You guys, they say to me this 45 was ratioed 3:1:2. Now they say there, can you see it's factory, sales, office. What's the word for office? Admin. Can you see I'm used to doing factory, admin, sales. Can you see they can swap it? But they tell you how. They tell you in what order it is. Okay. So now my goal is I want to cancel out what I did wrong. So what did I do originally? I said 45 times 3 over, what's the total? 6. So, but that's now wrong, ne? So I want to take it out. What's wrong?
Ma'am, are they not saying that the 45,000 was allocated to the factory?
Yeah,
So that's what you're saying?
yeah, so I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm not totally wrong. Because what I did, the 45 is the answer. Ne? So what I actually did is I said the total amount times 3 over 6. Does that make sense? Huh? You guys with me? When I work out ratios, how do I work out a ratio? I say, you guys stop talking. I say the part of the ratio divided the total. So if I look at this, factory is 3. The total is 6. They don't give me my total insurance. They give me that 3. They tell me that 3 is 45. You see? So now if I go look, I say x times 3 over 6 gives me 45. You sharp now. You sharp. So now I want to go back to the original. So how do I do the original? I say 45 times 6 over 3.
Which is 90,000.
Now I'm going to get 90,000, the original insurance. And now I'm going to what? Yes. I read like my big butt. It should be factory insurance, meaning it's already allocated. Okay, now I want to do it the right way. What is the right way?
The 50.
The right way,
90,000.
if I look at this, and you guys, you don't even have to go smaller. You can work on these big amounts. Ne? Because 1 5 plus 3 plus 6 gives me 2 4.
24.
Isn't it right? So you can say times 1005 over 2004, and that gives me what?
56, 250.
Okay, now,
Minus.
huh? So now, for me, in my head, it makes more sense to say, let's take out that 45, because that's wrong. And let's put in the 56, because that's right. You see? Then I don't have to go overstated, understated, same, wrong, whatever. Just do the thing where you take out the wrong one, put in the right one. Because there it immediately tells you it's going to be a plus, and it's going to be a plus 1250. I love you too. 11 what? Is it 11 250? I love you too. Okay, so what's the answer? What's the answer? 5 7. Okay. So, you guys, I say this, and I hope you hear me. It is extremely important to have your totals. Not just to get a bagel, but if you transfer it, because this, you know, if you look at the production cost, you're going to need factory overheads. So you're going to transfer that amount, and you're going to transfer that amount. So it's 2 bagels there. But I cannot give you the bagel if I can't see where it comes from. Okay, unless you, so please don't try and save time by not writing the total there. So, direct labor, I know I need direct material. Direct labor gives me prime cost, factory overheads, work in process opening, work in process closing, and I put it in a bracket for myself to remember tomorrow. So now, I just go look. My direct material, I'm going to transfer 888-300. Bagel. Here we go. 1, 2, 9, 16, 9, 12. Factory overheads, I just transfer. Can you see? Can you see this is the total cost of production? What? How are they going to give us bagels? No, it looks like this. The machine doesn't mark, it's still people that mark. It's still, I am marking. I'm one of the markers. You have notations. What innotations? Innovations. What is those things? And then, so you have ticks and you have crosses. And you have a foreign.
At the start of the year, you said if we have any
Okay, so now if I look at this, now I need my work in process, the beginning. So they gave me where?
They gave me the end.
Oh, I can't see it. Well, oh, there it is. 235,500. And it's amazing that they didn't print it in because that's an easy tick. Is that the closing?
Yes.
235,500. See, I'm tired. Okay, so now they don't give me this. So what? The cost of production. If they give me the cost of production per unit, I can calculate it. So let's go look. They say, I manufactured 15,000 units, right? And if I look here, this is not, I keep looking at the wrong thing. Do they tell me a cost?
They tell me the meters.
Let's see. They tell me the factory is issued from the storage. I don't know where to find it. I'm tired. My brain has gone totally blank. So
Wait, it
Huh?
says 0. There was no work in
There was no
process.
work in
It's 0.
Where?
Here.
Oh, there is no opening. Thank goodness for people with brains in the claws. And then you get that. Okay. But be careful, you guys. Be careful with this one. They can either give you the cost per unit, ne, and the units, or they can give you information to draw finished goods, ne, where you have the opening, the closing, the cost of sales, and the work in process, which I taught you is this one. Okay, they can also do it that way. Okay, let's go on. Comments. So, calculate 214, calculate the cost of wastage of raw material. So wastage was, first of all, you want to see how much was issued, ne? Because you assume that's what's used. And you want to compare it to what you are supposed to use. Okay, so they tell us here, first of all, I need 1.2 meters, ne, to make a t-shirt. How many t-shirts did I make? Huh? Where do you see? Oh, they say almost 15,000. So how many meters was I supposed to use? 15,000. Okay, now, you guys, now I want to see how much did I use. And if I look here, I see, oh, raw material issued, 18,900. Okay, so 900 meters was wasted. But they want the cost of the waste. So, now we must more work on the average, ne? That, remember we must did the weighted average. What was the weighted average, bro?
47 rand.
47. And that gives me the answer. Okay. Mark is concerned about the increase in the cost of raw material over the financial year. You guys, remember when we are concerned about costs, you always look at the per unit. Ne? So now they say, provide 2 strategies that Mark can use to address the problem of wastage. So train workers, ne? Buy better quality material, get better machinery, newer, updated, train your workers, have a management plan. Okay. Now, do a calculation to confirm the break-even point. Break-even point, you guys, for this, you cannot get less than 3. You take the fixed cost over selling price per unit less variable cost per unit. So they tell me, is it the new one? They tell me here, the business manufacturers light bulbs, blah, blah, blah. So let's see, what's my fixed cost? They tell me, what are we working with?
Orion.
Onion bulbs or Orion bulbs. Ne? So here's Orion. We're not going to use Starlit. We're going to use Orion. You guys, I would suggest please get a ruler, but get a ruler that is solid. A solid color, not those shine through ones. Because then what you can do is you can just put your ruler there. Then you're not tempted to use the wrong. Okay, so now let's see. My fixed cost, and I'm always using the newest one, it's 2982. So it's 2982,900. Selling price per unit Don't take sales and distribution, eh? Take selling price.
46.
What is the selling price?
46.
They say it's 46. And the variable cost, and you have to know the things. Variable cost is what? Direct material, direct labor, sales and distribution. You have to know it, ne? Let's quickly look. Where do I see it?
26.
26. So this gives me 20. So 29 divided 20 gives me? Now, what is extremely important to remember, this is the minimum amount of products I need to produce to break even. What does break even mean? Means I'm not making a profit or a loss. Okay, how many products did we produce? Oh my goodness. How many did we produce? $163, ne? And our break, you guys are talking. And your break even is 149. 145. Now I'm asking you, please look at me. Should we be happy? Why should we be happy? So, in other words, I'm supposed to produce 149, ne? But I produced 163. Can you see I produced more than the break even? Okay, so the difference there would give me my profit. Okay. Now, can I quickly ask you, on how many units did I make a profit this year? 13855. And last year? 74? No. Oh, yeah. No, that doesn't sound right. No, it's not that much. Because 98, ne, it gives me 2. Oh, it is right. Sorry. Okay, now, listen. Now if I look, please look at me. Now, if I ask you now, should they be satisfied? What would you say? Why not? They're making profit on less units. No? They made profit on 74 units last year. This year only 13. Okay? So can you see that the first answer would give you marks, where you say yes, be satisfied because the break even is small, the sales is bigger than the break even. But the second answer would give you at least 1 extra mark, because you now see, oh, but last year we also made profit, but we made more profit.
So ma'am, let's say they made more units, like same as the scenario ma'am, but instead we have more total sales.
Okay, so the big thing. Hi. Good, and you? $157. Okay. 1.5. Let me just quickly help this person. Is instead of asking you to calculate the break-even point, they would ask you, how many more units do you need to produce to make a profit of 700 Rand extra? Then you just use the 700 instead of the fixed cost. So you'll do the ratio exactly the same, but you'll just put that amount that you want to do more, and the rest is still the same. Okay. So now let's go look. Explain whether the new starlet. No. Identify and explain 2 cost items that may have contributed in the increase in cost of production per unit. So you can see my cost in production is higher. Ne? So they say provide a reason for each. Note that the current inflation is 7%. Okay. So now, You only got 2 cost items that you look at. Please don't go look at admin and sales and firstly go look direct labor, direct material. So let's go look. If I see direct material increased, okay, I'm going to look for the one that increased the most, ne? Direct labor a lot, sales and distribution a lot, factory overheads, admin, not that much. If I look at this, the 2 biggest ones is this one and this one.
Ma'am, I was doing it yesterday and it said do not accept
Do not accept what?
SDC. So I don't understand what that
What
means.
is SDC?
Sales and distribution.
I don't know why.
Identify and explain 2 cost items that may have contributed to the increase in cost. Oh, okay. So here's the trap. Here's the trap. Look at this. They say here that might have increase in cost of production. Does the sales have anything to do with the cost of production? Does the admin have anything to do with the cost of production? No. So yeah, they want you to do direct labor, direct material. Factory overheads you can also do. Well done. So factory overheads, which one is more? I think factory overheads is more than direct material. So you take those 2. Okay. Don't go into working out percentages and stuff, because it takes time and you get exactly the same ticks. If you were to say the direct labor increased from 6 Rand 70 to 11 Rand 20 per unit, you will get exactly the same marks as when you say the direct labor increased with 5 Rand whatever per unit. Or if you say the direct labor increased with 70% per unit. Same marks. But now the thing is, you took time to go and work out stuff. So rather just say it went from 670 to 1120.
Just as long as it's above the rate of inflation. Because it states, note that the current inflation rate is 7%.
I can promise you this is more than 50%.
No, but I'm just saying, as long as it's above 7%, I don't need to be stating percentages.
No. What he's asking me is if it's above 7% or whatever. I'm saying you don't have to go and work out percentages. It doesn't matter what. If you want to use, because now the thing is, if you look at this, this is how my mind works. 6 plus 6 gives me 12, right? So in other words, 100% would be 12 Rand something. Now can you see it's 11 Rand? Can you see this is more than 50% increase? And more than 50% is already more than 7%. They're not asking about the inflation. They're asking about why should I be, this is way more than inflation. So now they ask me, give a reason for this. Why is there so much? And now for the 1,700th time, the per unit has got nothing to do with employ more workers or employ less workers. It's not that. Let me explain to you again the jersey. So Poppy works for me. She knits jerseys. She takes 1 day to knit a jersey. I pay her 10 Rand an hour. She works 8 hours a day. How much do I pay her for the day? 80 Rand. What is the labor cost per unit for that jersey? 80 Rand. Now I sent Poppy for training. And now she knits like nobody's business. She comes back, now she knits 2 jerseys in a day. How much do I pay her? 10 Rand an hour. How many hours does she work? 80 hours. Now, she knitted 2 jerseys. What is the labor cost per jersey now? 40 Rand. Did I have more than one person working for me? No. Because if I had more than one person working for me, let's say now Mpo comes and works for me, right? So Mpo and Poppy together knits 2 jerseys. What happens with their salaries or their wages? It just doubles, because for Poppy gets 80 and Mpo gets 80, so now it's 160. If both of them knits 2 jerseys a day, the unit cost is still going to be 40 Rand. You see? Okay, so what would be the reasons that our direct labor, and the first thing you always say is they worked a lot of overtime. There was a lot of overtime, because overtime is more expensive. If you work norm time, you say you get 100. If you work overtime, you get 150. So it's more expensive. And why would people work a lot of overtime? Oh, load shedding. Because there's load shedding in the day, then the machines don't work. So they have to work after their hours. Because if I'm at work, I come to my job today. Ne? I'm there, but the machines don't work. I still get paid my norm time. Because I'm at my work. Is it my fault that the things aren't working? But the work needs to be done. So now it means I'm going to work 2 hours overtime tonight when the machines are working. So it means I'm going to get my normal time and I'm going to get overtime. Can you see why load shedding is so bad for the country's economics?
So man, if your boss tells you to go home, you still get that salary.
Yeah. He can tell you to go home, but it's still within your working hours. You did not reach the contract.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. So we've got too much overtime, right? Okay. Why else can my labor cost increase so much? Too much overtime, what else? Workers work too slow. Let's quickly think. Let's say Poppy knits 2 jerseys a day. I give her 80 Rand. It's 40 Rand a jersey. Now suddenly she had some or other injury in her one arm. Now she takes 2 days to knit a jersey. Can you see now my labor cost per unit is going to be 160 Rand because she took 2 days to make a jersey. Did I pay her more? No, she works slower. Why? Per day. So if I can get her to work more efficiently, my unit costs go down. But let's say my workers are on a slow strike. What's a slow strike? You go to your job, you just work very slow. Can you see your labor cost is going to increase? Because they're there, but they don't get the work done in the time they're supposed to.
But ma'am, doesn't that lead to like abusing the worker? Because at one point you're going to be like, each worker must produce.
I need you to understand that, and then also I need you to understand the fixed costs. Whenever they talk about fixed cost, can I quickly show you? If my fixed cost is 100 and I have 10 units, then it's 10 Rand per unit. Ne? If my fixed cost goes up to 140, ne? But I produce suddenly 20 units. Can you see now? My per unit is going down. So this is what economics of scale is. So what they're going to do is they're going to give you a thing like this. Ne? Your total fixed cost and your fixed cost per unit. Now can you see that my total fixed cost stayed the same in this case, but my units increased. Now why is that? Oh, because maybe I made less units than last year. Okay, let's quickly go look. You see, my units is less. My fixed cost stayed the same. It could have even gone up. Okay, so they call this the uneconomics of scale, of the scale of uneconomic. Huh? Okay. Okay. Guess who wrote paper 2 yesterday? Okay. And you thought economics won't help. Having them in the course helps.
But the meter should have answered.
Okay. So what I want to say to you. So let's say the scenario is different. Let's say the units this decreased, and you go look there, then you'll see that the units increased. It's most a logical thing. So when you look at it, it's going to look like the fixed cost increases. Remember, fixed cost doesn't mean that the price is going to stay the same. If I'm renting this building, I've got a rent expense, and rent expense falls under factory overheads. And rent expense is a fixed cost. Does it mean that if I rent this place for 10 years, I'm going to pay the same for the next 10 years? No, there's going to be an increase every year. What is the difference? A fixed cost is not determined by the units, whereas a variable cost is determined by the units. It's like if I switch on that lights and the fans, I use the same amount of electricity I would use if there's one person in the class or if there's all of you. That's why it's fixed. It's not determined by the amount of people it serves. You hear what I'm saying? Okay, so your fixed cost can increase and decrease. It can. It's not fixed. It's fixed no matter how many units you produce. Okay, so now I have to go look what is the units I produced. So in this case, the fixed cost was 100, but there was 10 units produced, so that gave me 10 per unit. Next year I produced 140. So if I just look at the 100 to 140, it looks like my fixed cost increased. I don't have good control. But if I go look, I see, oh, but I produced more units. So the per unit went down. Even though the total, so if the total fixed cost increases, but the fixed cost per unit decrease, that is what we call economics of scale. Okay, and you know what, for seeing that, just for writing economics of scale, you get your full 2 marks. You don't even have to write, oh, because there's more units, blah, blah, blah. Just write the word economics of scale. Okay. So, explain whether the new starlet, so now we look at the last column, were a good idea or not. Provide 2 points, and now it's just random things that you have to look at. So, what happened? We used to only sell one bulb, Orion, and now we sell starlet as well. Now, is that a good idea? Definitely, because just look at the sales of that guy, right? We sell a lot of units. And the units that we sell more is way more than the units we sell less of Orion, right? So that's good. Just look at that total sales. Can you see the total sales is double that of Orion? Okay. What else can we see? The admin is low on it, ne? Per unit. So the admin is still the same everywhere. Factory overhead's a little bit higher. I don't know. What else did they say? What did they say since you did it yesterday?
Break even point.
The break even? What about it?
Even on the memo it says what I say.
Oh, okay. I see. The break even point is lower than the break even point of Orion.
Yes, ma'am.
That
And
can be
according to the number of units.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.